Now, wait about 3 seconds, and then I'll start.
Yeah, I think you are good now.
Okay. Thank you all for joining me. I'd like to begin by acknowledging the land we are upon today. The City of Lethbridge acknowledges that we are gathered on the lands of the Blackfoot people of the Canadian Plains and pays respect to the Blackfoot people past, present, and future, while recognizing and respecting their cultural heritage, beliefs, and relationship to the land. The City of Lethbridge is also home to the Métis Nation of Alberta, Region 3. I'm guessing some of you are here today to make sure that I'm actually retiring after October the 18th, which I assure you I am. Today's State of the City address is not going to be a political opportunity. As my second term is nearing an end, I wanted to take an opportunity before nomination day, which is on Monday, September the 20th, to help educate our voters, our council candidates, and ultimately the next City Council on what to expect and what to plan for. I want to take today's opportunity to clarify some misconceptions in the community on both some perceptions as well as some specific details on the City of Lethbridge's finances. I will discuss a range of projects, not just for their merits, but specifically how they were funded and how Council and City Administration have worked to achieve them. Next slide, please. I'll be speaking today about three main areas: City finances, a detailed look at the City of Lethbridge's finances and how they impact you; the future, a look ahead to some of opportunities and developments taking place; and legacy, a look at projects completed since we were elected in 2013. Next slide, please. First, City finances. I really hope to convey some financial reasoning and discuss in detail how grants from other orders of government are allocated and leveraged to help fund projects in our city. Next slide, please. Taxes. If you have heard my State of the City addresses in the past, I've explained taxes and the factors that impact them. As I outlined in January, I want to shift how we look at and talk about the value we get for the amount of taxes we pay. This graphic shows the high service and stability. I will go into more detail in a moment. First, we will look at expenses and revenues. Next slide, please. So what does it take to operate the city on a day-to-day basis? As we look at the top operating costs, the majority goes to essential services that we need to be a safe, vibrant, and healthy place to live. 22% goes to protective services, that's police, fire, and EMS. 19% goes to electric and other utilities. 19% goes to infrastructure and transportation services. And 15% goes to leisure and human services. These areas comprise about 75% of our annual operating budget. Next slide, please. So where does the revenue come from to fund the operating budget? Well, 43% comes from the sale of goods and services, including utility service charges, user fees for things like recreation and culture facilities. 35% comes from the municipal portion of your property taxes and other municipal levies. Next slide, please. Property taxes. Here's a more detailed illustration to break down the municipal portion of your municipal tax bill paid for 2021. You'll see again the large percent going towards our vital emergency services, with police at 15% and fire and emergency management services at 14%, with 15% going to community services. Community services includes things like recreation and culture, the NMAX Centre, the Lethbridge Public Library, and regulatory services, etc. We have some excellent resources on the city website that provide additional detail and are really easy to understand. Just visit lethbridge.ca and search City Finances. Next slide, please. Residential versus non-residential. There seems to be some confusion in the community regarding residential and non-residential taxes. On the Municipal Affairs website, you can create assessment profiles, which are a compilation of statistical, financial, and other information about municipalities in the province. They can show the equalized assessment for residential and non-residential property in the city. You'll see in this graph on the screen that the non-residential mill rate in the city of Lethbridge is almost 2.5 times the residential mill rate. Most cities in the province are trying to move that down to 2 times or less. The mill rate in Lethbridge has remained fairly stable over the last years, but it may hurt our competitiveness in terms of attracting more non-residential investment in the city. When you look at, in the next slide, the non-residential tax base versus a city like Red Deer, Lethbridge has about 5% less in this category compared to a city of similar size. Another problem we have is we have several large tax-exempt properties. For example, residential homes for seniors. When the provincial government took away the grants in lieu for those, the city of Lethbridge lost almost $1 million in taxation, which then has to be made up by other taxpayers. We have some large institutions which provide great employment, like the college and the university, but who only pay municipal taxes on the residences that are used by students. They use streets, they access city services, they provide police service and fire protection, but they don't pay the same proportion of taxation. So all that burden gets carried over by to other taxpayers. Next slide, please. Utility rates. Council has heard many comments throughout the summer regarding the increase in cost to utilities, specifically electricity. The City of Lethbridge does not set the price on electricity. Rates are provincially mandated by the Alberta Utilities Commission, the AUC, and set by the Alberta Electricity System Operator, what we call ESO, AESO, who manage the market for the entire province and manage the generation to match demand. Council and the Electric Utility Department has no option to opt out of rate collection. In December 2019, the Alberta government removed the Alberta rate cap program, meaning that the price per kilowatt hour can go past the previously set cap of 6.8 cents. Consumers can opt for a fixed rate option for electricity with a private company. During its operating budget review, which I will speak to in a moment, Council also approved a 0% utility rate increases for the portion of the bill that the city controls. Next slide, please. KPMG Operational Reviews. In November 2018, City Council voted to approve a resolution directing administration to undertake independent operational review of all city operations. This was an important step for City Council and the organization as a whole, because a review like this had not been done in almost 40 years. One primary area of City Council's focus is on accountable spending, and we need to be planning and budgeting in the best possible way. It had been an in-depth look at opportunities for service changes in the community, internal structure changes, and areas for cost savings, while considering the impact of COVID-19 on city operations. The review also offered comparisons to other municipalities and took into account the expertise of the KPMG team and input from City Council, staff, and stakeholders. City Council is proud of the work done. KPMG went through each department asking questions, asking for ideas and input from staff about how we can be better, faster, and stronger. Most importantly, we received hard data, analytics, and recommendations which allowed us to make fact-based decisions as an organization and as a city council. We purposely conducted and reported on this process in a very clear and transparent way. We want our residents to know we are being thoughtful with their tax dollars and continuously wanting to improve how we use these funds. Next slide, please. Operating budget review. Directly related to the operational review, as well as the impacts of COVID-19 and uncertainty with the provincial budget, was the council decision to reopen and amend the city's operating budget for 2021 and 2022. Council's Finance Committee met in November 2020 to deliberate the operating budget with the goal of reducing the spending to see a 0% property tax increase for the next 2 years and a 0% utility increase in 2021. With the operating budget approval, the 2021 and 2022 average annual change in municipal tax rate is 0% every year. You'll notice in 2019, there was a 1.82 municipal tax rate increase, which was the lowest tax rate increase in 20 years. For 2020, we adopted and created a 0% municipal tax increase, and now that will continue for 2021 and 2022. So that hasn't been done in decades. These adjustments will be applied to the municipal portion of residential property taxes as part of our municipal requisition. Individual properties may see a change on their bills for other reasons, such as a change in the property assessment, that is, the value of your home, business, or multifamily complex. An increase in the Green Acres Foundation budget, so Green Acres is also part of your property tax bill, or to the Alberta school budget, so education taxes are also part of your property tax bill and comprise about 25% of the bill. Property tax bills are specific to each property. Anyone with questions can contact 311 to get information specific to their assessment and tax bill. You can also visit https://www.lethbridge.ca/taxes to learn more about property taxes. But the bottom line is, City Council's requisition for 2020, 2021, and 2022 is the same total tax dollar. Next slide, please. Capital budget. In June, Lethbridge City Council approved the 2022 to 2031 Capital Improvement Program funding recommendations from the May 10th to 14th Economic Standing Policy Committee deliberations. The Economic SPC began with $74 million available, with an additional federal gas tax funding of $6 million for 2021-2022, bringing the total available funding to approximately $80 million. Funding allocations for the 2022 to 2025 CIP total about $66 million, with $64.5 million of that being unrestricted funding. The remaining amount is about $15.5 million, as Council at the start of deliberations also approved $10 million for future CIP allocations. We did our best to achieve a balance between essential projects and investing in projects to generate employment and improvement in the city, as well as being cautious to not spend all the money that was available to us this late in the term. This fiscal responsibility will help the next council start off on the right foot. Some of the approved CIP projects include waste and recycling, curbside organics collection, affordable housing, and Henderson Ice Center upgrade. Next slide, please. Council streamlines budgeting processes. Last month, City Council approved an enhanced budgeting process that will align the approvals of the 4-year cycle of operating and capital improvement program, CIP, into the same year. This change will also add an annual review and adjustment of the budgets for years 2, 3, and 4 of the cycle. This will be a change from the current practice where City Council debates and approves a 4-year budget cycle every 2 years, alternating between the CIP and the operating budget. This new process will aim to reduce the complexity of preparing and presenting budgets to Council and the community. Among other administrative efficiencies, community engagement activities can also be consolidated to gather feedback from residents on all aspects of the city's budget. To achieve this alignment, the existing capital projects within the 2022 to 2031 CIP, currently approved for 4 years, 2022 to 2025, will be brought forward in 2022 for Council to consider approval of an additional year, 2026, along with the already planned operating budget deliberations. This will allow the 2023 to 2026 operating and capital budgets to be aligned and will set the stage for future deliberations. Next slide, please. Provincial budget. Switching to a provincial focus, we knew the government's initial focus was restraint and fiscal responsibility. Then the pandemic caused further future uncertainty. The reduction of Municipal Sustainability Initiative Funds, MSI, will be of considerable note to our city. We will see a reduction in our MSI capital funding in the future. While not surprising, it's an adjustment that we are prepared for. All municipalities in Alberta will be affected by this change. Next slide, please. Debt. The City of Lethbridge's annual report has all of the information captured in an extensive detail. One question that keeps getting brought up is city debt. A bylaw must be authorized by City Council prior to any external borrowing. The City of Lethbridge borrows money to help finance capital projects. These loans, called debenture debt, are borrowed from the province of Alberta. The province of Alberta provides municipal, regional, health and education authorities with financing for capital projects. The Municipal Government Act, the MGA, establishes limits for municipal debt levels and annual debt servicing costs. The City of Lethbridge's debt limit in 2020 was $610 million. In 2020, the city's debenture debt was $224.4 million, roughly 1/3 of our capacity. And it was also a decrease of $3.6 million, or 1.6% from the 2019 balance. So debt levels are going down. The debenture debt decrease was primarily due to the timing of major capital projects. The 2020 borrowings for capital project included the wastewater treatment plant clarifier replacement, the water treatment plant residuals management, electric distribution and extension improvement, waste and recycling center enhancements, waste and recycling center disposal cell development and closures, and University Drive. Most of these projects will be funded by utility payments, not municipal taxes. Next slide, please. MRSR Explanation. The purpose of the Municipal Revenue Stabilization Reserve is to stabilize the effects of fluctuating interest rates and general fund operating surpluses and deficits on annual taxation requirements. The annual allocation from the Municipal Revenue Stabilization Reserve to relief of taxation will equal normalized return on investments, municipal consent and access fees, and police fines and penalty revenues. Next slide, please. Financial recognition. I want to congratulate our finance team and the City Treasurer for their ongoing work, as well as some recognition that they have received in the past several years. In 2020, the City of Lethbridge has received 3 awards from the Government Finance Officers Association of the United States and Canada. The awards are: 1, a Canadian Award for Financial Reporting for the fiscal year ended December 31st, 2019. This award is for those who publish high-quality financial reports. Secondly, an award for outstanding achievement in popular annual financial reporting for the fiscal year ended December 31st, 2019. This award is for those who publish a popular annual financial report whose contents conform to program standards of creativity, presentation, understandability, and reader appeal. And finally, an award for distinguished budget presentation for the 4-year budget beginning January the 1st, 2019. In order to receive this award, the city had to publish a budget document that met program criteria as a policy document, as a financial plan, and as an operations guide, and as a communications device. We believe our current financial reports continue to conform to the GFOA reporting program requirement, and we will be submitting our reports for the current year to the GFOA to determine their eligibility for another award. Next slide, please. COVID recovery incentives. As part of the economic recovery efforts, Lethbridge City Council last November approved a series of development-based incentive programs to support investors as well as business owners and their employees. The 6 areas of focus included real estate sales and leases, affordable social housing, capital grant, urban core housing incentive program, targeted redevelopment incentive program, urban core improvement grant program, and industrial municipal incentive. These programs existed in some form before but were redeveloped for the present situation. These incentive programs will dedicate over $6 million in funding to support economic recovery. These dollars have been committed from existing funding sources and will not impact residential property taxes. Next slide, please. Economic outlook. The economic and industrial impact of COVID-19 pandemic has impacted all aspects of life, including our population, unemployment, and GDP data. The Conference Board of Canada predicts Alberta's economy will be the hardest hit, given the combined decrease in oil prices and the coronavirus. It is believed that Alberta's GDP will have contracted by up to 7% in 2020, compared to Canada, which is set to decline by 4.5%. However, the Conference Board of Canada expects the worst job losses have already been felt and that the market will slowly recover. In 2021, Alberta could see economic growth of up to 6.5%, and we're seeing our unemployment numbers dropping dramatically in the current year. Next slide, please. There are a wide range of future opportunities and developments taking place in the city of Lethbridge. In this section, I want to spend some time highlighting some of them. Next slide, please. Opportunity Lethbridge. In early 2021, informed by several operational and government reviews, the city of Lethbridge merged 3 separate entities: real estate and land development, urban revitalization, and the Lethbridge Airport, united to form a new department called Opportunity Lethbridge. Opportunity Lethbridge is deeply committed to the development and redevelopment of Lethbridge, driven towards our goals of economic prosperity, business licenses, and a resilient future. From forging strategic partnerships to securing funding, from negotiating major land deals to deftly navigating complex regulatory landscapes, Opportunity Lethbridge will work to transform opportunities into new realities for the city of Lethbridge, its businesses, and its citizens. Next slide, please. Lethbridge Airport. While the airline industry is still reeling from the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic, the city of Lethbridge has been busy strategically preparing its airport for future growth and economic prosperity. The city of Lethbridge has invested $2.6 million, which it leveraged to secure an additional $23 million in federal and provincial funding for a variety of projects residents of, and these projects have already started to come to fruition. Last month, Lethbridge City Council approved the YQL business plan 2021 to 2024 and will continue to operate the Lethbridge Airport as a City of Lethbridge department under the Director of Corporate and Customer Services. This model will remain in place until YQL reaches the key triggers of 2 consecutive years of $500,000 net operating profit and more than 150,000 annual passengers. Investing in the airport means that we are investing in our ability to grow our economic potential. The opportunities for future development and renovating this facility as a major economic driver for Southern Alberta are exciting, and we're thrilled to be moving forward on these improvements. From the city's perspective, we will remain focused on supporting municipal infrastructure and attracting investment to our city. We are very well positioned for all the emerging growth opportunities that will accompany this project. Next slide, please. Festival Square. Last week, construction began on the new Festival Square Market Plaza downtown. In July, Lethbridge City Council voted to proceed with a revised plan for Municipal Stimulus Program, MSP, funded projects, which include the $1.71 million Festival Square Market Plaza, allowing Festival Square to proceed without any city funding to ensure that the project is delivered as an economic catalyst for downtown. The new Festival Square Market Plaza will include an interactive stage, entry signs, decorative column lighting, programmable lighting, and site furniture, as well as water, wastewater servicing, and lane rehab. Next slide, please. The new Nikka Yuko Bunka Center is nearing completion and will become the new cultural centerpiece of the garden experience. This new facility is city-owned and will be operated by the Lethbridge and District Japanese Garden Society. It will enhance both the Nikka Yuka Japanese Garden and Henderson Lake Park visitor experiences by providing garden visitors with new and improved cultural, historical, horticultural, and other related programming and exhibits outside the garden, as well as providing a venue, event, and meeting space for public and private functions taking place in the community, the park, or the garden. The $3 million project is being primarily funded with $2.538 million grant through the Federal Gas Tax Fund, plus $292,000 through the Community Pay-As-You-Go program. And $90,000 has been raised by the Garden Society through fundraising, and the Society is also contributing an additional $520 for further upgrades to the center's interior and to technology for displays. Next slide, please. Exhibition Park. As a cornerstone of its economic recovery plan, the provincial government announced $27.8 million for Exhibition Park expansion project and agri-food hub. The City of Lethbridge is contributing $25 million to this project, plus we're guaranteeing over $17 million in loans by Exhibition Park. In addition, we purchased land at a value of more than $3 million from Exhibition Park. The project will create 400 construction jobs with an estimated 50 incremental jobs after completion. The estimated ongoing economic impact to Lethbridge and Southern Alberta will grow to $19 million annually. This project is a huge economic catalyst that will lead to greater investment and job creation as agricultural industries further develop in the city and the region. We are proud to be recognized as part of Canada's premier food corridor and look forward to strengthening that position with this project. Next slide, please. Broadband connectivity. Earlier this year, it was announced that Lethbridge is set to receive more than $13 million from the federal government as part of the COVID-19 resilience infrastructure stream put in place to support Canadians and communities during the current pandemic. Part of this funding is nearly $5.5 million to improve broadband internet connectivity in the Sharing and Churchill industrial parks. A design-build contractor has been awarded the contract to proceed with detailed design construction of the fiber optic-based network with a proposed schedule to see the network completed and ready for customer use by December 20th, 2021. Friday, September the 17th is the last date for customers to arrange for fiber install to property as part of the pilot. Next slide, please. Governance model. Last year, City Council voted for a new Standing Policy Committee, or SPC, governance model that came into effect January 1, 2021. Of notable changes, council meetings are on Tuesdays rather than Mondays, as they had been. Agendas are published 1 week in advance of the meeting, thus allowing extra time for the public to review them and consider whether to provide written submissions. At the SPC meetings, or Standing Policy Committee meetings, which occur before issues come to council, the public can speak for 5 minutes to a committee about an agenda item, and councillors may ask them questions. Any public wanting to participate in an SPC is asked to contact the city clerk at cityclerk@lethbridge.ca. The public may also submit comments in writing through an online form that will be available soon. This model provides more opportunity for the public to speak to council members And for prospective new members of council, please be aware it does add a lot more to your time commitments on Lethbridge City Council. Next slide, please. The new Municipal Development Plan. In July, Lethbridge City Council voted to approve the new Municipal Development Plan, MDP, Bylaw 6265, setting the city's vision for sustainable growth for the present and the future. The MDP goals of improving quality of life, addressing the changing needs of our city, and fostering a prosperous economy, as well as a synchronization with our corporate strategies to lay the groundwork for the next City Council work plan. It will provide relevant citywide strategic policy guidance as we continue to grow and build on the surpassed milestone of 100,000 population. During the project, City Council was updated periodically on the project timeline, milestones, document structure and components, policy topics, and public engagement. Additionally, City Council carried out engagement sessions targeting stakeholder groups. A link to the document and details of how to participate in the public hearing process were emailed directly to more than 125 stakeholder organizations and partners, including area school divisions, Lethbridge County, and the surrounding First Nations. Next slide, please. Corporate branding. In June, on the 112th anniversary of the completion of Lethbridge's iconic high-level bridge, the City of Lethbridge introduced a fresh new brand. This change will help build community pride while attracting new visitors, investors, businesses, and students and residents. This change was long overdue, and I look forward to seeing how this will help us consistently share the story of an amazing opportunities Lethbridge has to offer. Lethbridge is Alberta's blueprint for success. The City of Lethbridge's brand is built on 4 foundations: community, service, people, and success. The visual aspects of the brand combine the elements of a progressive city with local perspectives while tying in the movement of the Oldman River, located in the heart of Blackfoot territory. These all work together to tell the City of Lethbridge story. And here's a little video to see what I'm talking about.
We'll just have to plug the link again. I think it's not going to work in this format, so.
Yep. Okay. Next slide, please. Hosting the 2022 Tim Hortons Brier. In 2020, Council pledged support in a bid for the 2022 Brier, the annual Canadian Men's Curling Championship. Thank you to everyone who worked on this successful bid. This will be a great opportunity to showcase our city. I know we will do an amazing job. Lethbridge and the NMAX Centre have previously hosted the 2019 World Men's Curling Championship, the 2012 World Women's Curling Championship, and the 2007 Scotties Tournament of Hearts. Next year, we will become just the 4th city that has hosted all 4 major Season of Champions events for curling. Next slide, please. The 2021 municipal election. It has been a privilege to serve our city as Lethbridge Mayor since 2013, and I have very much appreciated the opportunity. I am now past the age when most people retire, and this past year has made me realize how much time I miss spending time with my family. I made my retirement announcement earlier this year to allow me time to plan and give others time to prepare if they want to offer to serve our great city of Lethbridge. The candidate nomination period for the 2021 municipal election closes on Monday, September the 20th at noon. I wish all of the announced candidates all the best in their pursuits to help the direction of our community. For those who are still pondering and those who may need some further resources, please visit lethbridge.ca/election for a comprehensive collection of information. Next slide, please. The Crime Severity Index. The latest Crime Severity Index report from Statistics Canada came out on July 27th. And all the headlines blasted Lethbridge as being the #1 crime city in the country. To make it very clear, this is false. The CSI report only includes cities with municipal police forces, leaving out some large communities enforced by the RCMP. In fact, there are half a dozen cities just in Alberta that have higher crime rates than Lethbridge. For example, in 2020, Lethbridge had a CSI score of 138.7. Also in 2020, Red Deer had a CSI score of 165.6, and Grand Prairie had a score of 164.9. Both are enforced by the RCMP rather than by a municipal force and didn't appear in this report. Also of note, the Crime Severity Index is on a downward trend in Lethbridge, as it is in many parts of the country. From 2019 to 2020, crime was down by about 10% in the city of Lethbridge. So I invite everyone here today and throughout our community to stop damaging Lethbridge's reputation with the narrative of being the top crime city in the country. We are not. And I implore everyone to engage in a positive discussion to help our image to both residents and those outside of our community. When I hosted 22 mid-sized city mayors in this city, they hadn't heard the good things about Lethbridge. When they toured the city and saw all that we had and all that we were doing, they were very, very impressed. There are 22 other cities in the province of Alberta who would love to be Lethbridge. It's time we shift the conversation to the great aspects of our city. And we'll do that now. We'll talk about legacy. In this final section today, I want to go over some of the major accomplishments that have either been started or completed in the past 8 years. The section titled Legacy is not about me personally, but rather in regards to the legacy and impact these items will have to the city and region for decades to come. We talk about each city council building on the accomplishments of the previous ones. And so some of these things that I'm going to lay out, the next city council can build upon as well. Some of the items are about work council has accomplished together, while some of them are not directly council or corporation related, but are of major importance as assets to the city and the region. First, Truth and Reconciliation. The City of Lethbridge will officially observe the National Day of Truth and Reconciliation on September the 30th, deepening our commitment to truth and reconciliation. To honor the importance of this day, city facilities will be closed on September 30th. The City of Lethbridge is proud to publicly recognize this day. We are encouraging staff to take time on September 30th to attend community events organized by Indigenous community leaders and partner organizations and use it as a day of reflection and discussion. It's imperative that our community understands that residential schools existed in Southern Alberta and have had lasting effects. Recognition of truth and reconciliation is essential now more than ever. The City of Lethbridge has made a number of commitments to truth and reconciliation, including that on Monday, September the 20th, new flagpoles outside City Hall will permanently fly the Siksika-Sitapi Blackfoot Confederacy flag. Next slide, please. Indigenous Relations. At City Council's first meeting of 2021, we approved the National Inquiry into Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women and Girls, recommendations and work plan. It provides an overall implementation strategy for the 25 recommendations and aligns with Council's strategic plan and with deliberate community engagement in development of land, leveraging relationships and enriching the community through diversity, inclusivity, and culture. Implementation of this work plan, which includes the creation of Indigenous awareness training for city staff, anti-racism campaign, and an expansion of employment and economic opportunities for Indigenous peoples, will be managed by Indigenous Relations staff with the advice and support of Reconciliation Lethbridge Advisory Committee, RLAC, and community partners. In June, Lethbridge City Council voted to advance the Indigenous placemaking strategy a year ahead of its originally scheduled start to now begin work in 2021. Councils had previously approved this strategy, that includes a review and audit of the public places, markers, and language used by the city as part of the 2022 to 2031 Capital Improvement Program, CIP. The City of Lethbridge is responsible for the public spaces in our community, such as city-owned parks, neighborhoods, and facilities, certain historical markers, as well as the naming of public infrastructure and spaces. Undertaking an audit of our public spaces done through the lens of truth and reconciliation and inclusion will allow our community to have a conversation around placemaking and possibly determine the outcomes where public spaces can further define us as a community. The city manager is to include regular updates on the work of the Indigenous placemaking strategy as part of City Council's work plan and present City Council with the findings of the public spaces audit and recommendations for further action, no later than February 28th, 2022. Next slide, please. Business expansions. We are fortunate to have some major international corporations in the City of Lethbridge, and it's a healthy sign when they grow and expand. Richardson Oilseeds owns and operates a fully integrated canola processing, oil refining, and packaging plant here in Lethbridge. It was one of the first in the world to market canola oil. Combined with their facility in Yorkton, Saskatchewan, these two plants process over 1.6 million metric tons of canola seed per year, producing over 700,000 metric tons of oil and over 900,000 metric tons of meal annually. Both plants have integrated refineries, and the Lethbridge plant features a fully integrated packaging facility where they bottle oil in addition to packing margarine and shortening. They recently completed a $90 million expansion. The Black Velvet Distillery was recently sold to Heaven Hill Brands in the United States for $266 million in cash. That's US. They're a privately owned distilled spirits supplier headquartered in Kentucky. Heaven Hill is acquiring the second largest selling Canadian whiskey in the United States, trailing only Crown Royal. All the Black Velvet is made in Lethbridge, and Black Velvet is expanding by building additional warehouse space in the City of Lethbridge. We also saw major expansions at Frito-Lay and some other significant industries in the City of Lethbridge. That is a healthy sign. Next slide, please. University of Lethbridge Science Commons. The Science Commons is Canada's most advanced science facility. It brings together faculty and students from chemistry, biochemistry, biological sciences, neuroscience, physics, and astronomy and psychology. The $280 million investment had more than 20 local companies contracted during construction. At peak construction, about 350 people were working on the construction of the building. About 38,500 square meter facility was designed to be LEED certified, being 40% more energy efficient than any science facility of its kind. As you know, the U of L is continually ranked near the top of Maclean's University rankings in the primarily undergraduate category. I was pleased to support and recommend this project as the City of Lethbridge's #1 project back in 2015 in order for this major project to proceed with 100% provincial funding. Next slide, please. Lethbridge College. Lethbridge College celebrated the opening of the Trades, Technologies and Innovation facility with the first phase in 2015 and full completion in 2017. This is about a $60 million project. In addition, they completed a successful Possibilities Are Endless fundraising campaign, the largest campaign in Lethbridge College history, $27.8 million donated to the college, most of it from local contributors. Lethbridge College has seen rapid growth of applied research activities, including the creation of Integrated Agricultural Technology Centre, and was named Canada's 26th ranked and 3rd fastest growing research college in 2020. Next slide, please. Downtown incentive programs. The City of Lethbridge is committed to the long-term success of revitalizing the downtown. Through the Heart of Our City Committee and the Urban Revitalization Department, numerous programs and incentives are available to provide financial assistance that will stimulate growth and development in the downtown. We've already seen the types of projects that these incentives can help, with some examples being the Oliver Block, the 608 Health Building, and the renovation of the post office. The Reimagine Downtown Activation Grant Program aims to support businesses, entrepreneurs, organizations, and community-minded individuals in implementing initiatives, events, or other programs that seek to activate vacant, underutilized, or under-programmed private and public spaces. And it does it safely with COVID restrictions in mind with the downtown district. Animated streets help create an exciting, vibrant, and safe experience in the downtown. A patio and parklet support program has been established as an extension of the Main Street program to provide support to businesses that are interested in converting sidewalks and roads into expanded outdoor seating. With the Urban Core Property Improvement Grant Program, a 50% matching incentive up to a maximum of $175,000 per property for improvements in the urban core, including quality facade improvements, permanent interior and exterior space improvements, rehabilitation of key aspects that improve the functionality and reuse of buildings, and barrier-free accessibility improvements. The Urban Core Housing Incentive Program is a grant for the development of attractive, self-contained market rate dwelling units within the urban core. The Targeted Redevelopment Incentive Program is a tax-based incentive for targeted redevelopment for a minimum of $500,000 that reduces the effect of an increase in municipal taxes attributable to the differential between pre-construction and post-construction assessment in the urban core. As an example of this, the 608 Health, who are planning their official grand opening in the near future, 608 and the post office combined represent almost $20 million of investment in downtown Lethbridge. The Business Improvement Loan provides interest-free loans for up to $15,000 for businesses to improve the appearance and function of their business with interest paid by the heart of the city. Next slide, please. Lethbridge Regional Park and Transit Terminal. The Lethbridge Regional Park and Transit Terminal is a multi-purpose facility that connects many public transportation options of Southern Alberta into one safe, convenient location. This project involves a 3-level parking structure, adding 293 stalls of needed downtown parking. More parking opens up exciting opportunities to develop and grow our downtown core. The Government of Canada provided over $2 million to the project from the Public Transit Infrastructure Fund, PTIF, and $1.366 million from the Gas Tax Fund. The Government of Alberta contributed $11.6 million towards the Park and Ride project from the Green Transit Incentives Program, Green Trip. And the City of Lethbridge funded $4.9 million of the total of $19.9 million project budget, meaning that we got a transit terminal for about 25 cents on the dollar. Our transit riders no longer have to wait outside in the elements in the cold weather, waiting for buses, and now we have a transit terminal like many other cities. Next slide is the new fire station. The new fire station number 5 in West Lethbridge opened this summer. The current number 2 station is located on Whoop Up Drive. That was completed in 1980. At the time of opening, the population in West Lethbridge was approximately 4,000. Today, the population is more than 40,000. The addition of a second fire station located in the south end of West Lethbridge will improve response times for the west side of the city. Further, the location of an additional fighting resources in that area will dramatically improve the time it takes to assemble enough resources, both firefighters and equipment, to deal with residential or wildland fires. We were set to have a formal grand opening this week, but we have had to delay that due to COVID. Next slide, please. Legacy Regional Park. The Legacy Regional Park is the first major regional park on the north side. The park spans 73 acres and was designed for people to play, relax, and connect with their community. The total construction budget is about $22.7 million, with about $12.75 million in Municipal Sustainability Initiative funding, MSI. When Phase 2 is completed, there will be more than 20 different amenities in place in this park, including a spray park, basketball, pickleball, tennis, baseball, and soccer fields and courts, along with a ninja warrior course, group picnic shelters, a band shell, and much more. Next slide, please. The ATV Centre. The 380,000 square foot facility was built and is owned by the City of Lethbridge, with the newest phase being operated by the Lethbridge YMCA. It has a 10-sheet curling facility operated by the Lethbridge Curling Club and 2 NHL-sized arenas operated by the City of Lethbridge. It has 2 water slides, a surf simulator, a climbing wall, a lap pool, a lazy river, a tot spray area, whirlpool and zero depth entry, gentle wave pool. Visitors can also enjoy using the gymnasiums, field house, indoor playground, fitness areas, running and walking tracks. With a total budget of $109.5 million for Phase 2 and more than $150 million for the entire facility, the ATV Centre represents the largest investment in a community facility in Lethbridge's history. The Government of Alberta provided funding for both phases of the building, including $18.8 million in MSI initiative funding for Phase 2 and about $20 million for Phase 1. Next slide, please. New private investment. Cavendish. The $430 million investment to build a brand new facility was the largest private investment in Lethbridge's history. There is capacity to produce 460 million pounds of finished potato products annually, nearly triple the capacity of the previous Lethbridge plant. The new plant employs an additional 30 hourly employees and an additional 12 salaried employees. About 9,000 additional acres of locally grown potatoes will be required. An average of 165 contractors were on site per day through construction, peaking at 300 in a single day. A strong emphasis was placed on awarding to local companies for work related to the project. Approximately $149 million was awarded in packages to Alberta-based companies overall. The plant's footprint will cover approximately 13% of the developed portion of the site, allowing space for potential future Irving or Cavendish growth on this site. The current facility was designed to be doubled in size. Next slide, please. The health and safety of our community will always be Council's top priority. Certainly, the pandemic is far from over. Please be safe and look out for each other. Lethbridge is the gateway to opportunity, and I believe we have many reasons to be optimistic for the final quarter of 2021 and into the future. I truly hope that you see all the positives mentioned here today and all that we collectively keep working on to make Lethbridge the best city it can be. Thank you all for listening today, and I thank you for your support during my 8 years as Lethbridge Mayor. I wish the next council well and the next mayor well. Good luck. May you always continue to build on the work of previous councils. Thank you.